Most veterans do not get into financial trouble because they are lazy. They get into trouble because the system they just left was doing more of the financial heavy lifting than they realized. On active duty, money shows up with structure. Your paycheck lands on schedule. Housing allowance cushions your rent or mortgage. Healthcare costs are mostly out of sight. Your routine is imposed from the outside. Then you separate, and in a matter of weeks, that structure is gone. The paycheck changes, the benefits package changes, the timing changes, the margin for error gets smaller. And if you keep spending like the military compensation package never ended, one bad year can cost you $12,000 or more. That is not a scare line, that is math. A $1,300 monthly gap does not look dramatic in a single month. Over a year, it becomes $15,600. That is the kind of slow bleed that wrecks savings, pushes people into credit card debt, and turns a clean transition into a long recovery. So this briefing is simple. We are going to cover the 5 money mistakes veterans make most often after leaving active duty, what those mistakes actually cost, and what to do instead. This is GI budget, military discipline, civilian money. No hype, no vague motivation. Just practical money guidance for service members and veterans who need a civilian financial plan that actually works. In this video, you are going to get the top 5 money mistakes veterans make after leaving active duty. For each one, I will show you the real dollar damage, the bad assumption behind it, and the tool or rule that fixes it. The goal is not to make you feel guilty. The goal is to make sure you do not learn these lessons the expensive way. If you are separating, just got out, or have been out a few years and still feel like the numbers are tighter than they should be, this is for you. We start with the mistake that quietly drives the rest of them, living as if the military paycheck never really ended. Mistake number 1 is carrying your active duty lifestyle into civilian life without rebuilding the numbers from scratch. This happens all the time because military compensation does not feel like a normal civilian paycheck. It is a package. You may have base pay, basic allowance for housing, basic allowance for subsistence, tax advantages, lower out-of-pocket medical costs, and a rhythm that makes spending feel safe because the next deposit is predictable. Then you leave, take a civilian job, and look only at the headline salary. That is where the mistake starts. Let's use a realistic example. A veteran is clearing about $6,200 a month in total military compensation. After separation, he lands a civilian job that looks respectable on paper, but the actual monthly take-home comes in at $4,900. That is a $1,300 drop every month. If he keeps the same apartment, same truck note, same restaurant spending, same subscriptions, same travel habits, and same casual spending pattern, he is now running a monthly cash shortfall of $1,300. In 3 months, he is down $3,900. In 6 months, $7,800. In 1 year, $15,600. That is what lifestyle inertia costs. And the gap gets worse when people forget that civilian life often adds fresh expenses at the same time. Maybe health insurance now comes out of pocket. Maybe commuting costs rise. Maybe taxes hit differently. Maybe the first job bonus never arrives. Maybe hours are inconsistent. The civilian paycheck is not wrong. The budget is wrong. If your spending plan still belongs to your military life, it will fail in your civilian life. The fix is not complicated, but it does require discipline. Build the civilian budget first, before the first full month hits. Not after you feel behind. Before. That means you start with actual civilian take-home pay, not gross salary and not optimism. Then you assign every dollar a job. Housing, utilities, food, insurance, transportation, minimum debt payments, emergency savings. Everything else comes after the essentials are covered. This is where a zero-based transition budget matters. If the income is $4,900, then the plan needs to fit inside $4,900, not $6,200, and not what you hope to be making next year. Second, cut discretionary spending until the new baseline proves itself. Do not assume the first month means the whole year is stable. Give yourself 90 days of disciplined tracking. Watch what really happens with groceries, get insurance, repairs, and irregular expenses. Third, run a spending audit. Look at every dollar that left your account over the last 90 days and classify it. Mission essential, useful, or careless. That audit will tell you exactly where the leak is. The key point is this: the time to build the civilian budget is before the pressure shows up. If you wait until the checking account starts gasping for air, you are already in recovery mode. Mistake number 2 is buying too much house too fast. A lot of veterans hear VA loan and translate it into permission. No down payment, easier entry, maybe a good interest rate. And then the logic quietly breaks. Because no down payment does not mean no risk. It just means you entered the fight with less cash. The real question is not whether you can get approved. The real question is whether the total housing cost fits a disciplined budget when life stops cooperating. Here's the example. A mortgage payment of $2,450 might look manageable on the front end. Then reality stacks on top of it. Property taxes, homeowners insurance, utilities, routine maintenance, unexpected repairs, maybe an HOA fee. Suddenly, the true monthly housing cost is over $3,100. If your take-home pay is $4,900, that means well over 60% of your monthly income is getting eaten by housing before groceries, transportation, debt, and savings even get a vote. That is not a house payment. That is a budget ambush. And the reason this mistake hits veterans hard is because homeownership gets framed as stability. Sometimes it is. But buying a house too soon, too large, or too close to your income ceiling is not stability. It is fixed cost exposure. The roof does not care that you just changed careers. The plumbing does not care that your new employer cut overtime. The mortgage company does not care that the transition took longer than expected. If the payment only works in a good month, then it does not really work. Mistake number 3 is taking on a car payment that replaces the old habit of structured military life. In plain English, too many veterans get out, feel the need to reward themselves or reestablish identity, and sign up for an expensive truck or SUV that quietly owns the budget. The trap is that people look at the payment and stop there. The payment is not the cost. The vehicle is the cost. Let's run the numbers. Say the truck payment is $780. Insurance is another $240. Fuel runs $300. Maintenance, tires, registration, and routine service add more over time. Now you are looking at transportation costs north of $1,300 a month. That is before you talk about depreciation. And if your civilian income is still new, that means you locked in a major fixed expense before you prove the rest of your financial system. That is backward. Transportation should support your life. It should not dominate it. This is especially dangerous after separation because car debt feels normal in a culture where a lot of people signal success through what they drive. But the civilian world does not hand out BAH to offset bad vehicle decisions. If your car note is taking the same kind of money that should be building your emergency fund, stabilizing your housing, or covering your insurance gaps, then that vehicle is not helping you transition. It is slowing you down. Mistake number 4 is assuming civilian compensation works like military compensation. It does not. And this one catches smart people because the salary number looks bigger on paper. Somebody leaves active duty, gets offered a salary that sounds like a raise, and assumes they came out ahead. Then the real deductions show up. Health insurance premiums, higher tax withholding, retirement contributions that are now optional but necessary, out-of-pocket medical costs, the loss of tax-advantaged allowances, the missing value of benefits that used to be in the background. Suddenly, the raise becomes a pay cut. Here's a realistic example. A veteran takes a civilian role with a salary that appears higher than military base pay ever was. But each month, health premiums take $550. Taxes come out harder than expected. The retirement match is only captured if he contributes from his own pay, which reduces take-home further. Add deductibles, co-pays, and the missing cushion of military allowances, and the new job that looked like forward progress ends up producing less real monthly breathing room. This is why gross pay is a bad planning number. Gross pay tells you almost nothing about how secure your life actually is. You need a compensation conversion worksheet. That means comparing the total military package to civilian reality. Net pay, insurance costs, retirement contribution targets, tax treatment, and what you now have to fund yourself. If you do not replace the invisible support structure, you are not comparing apples to apples. You are comparing a full system to a partial paycheck. Mistake number 5 is waiting too long to build an emergency buffer. A lot of veterans leave service with the assumption that they will get settled first and save later. That sounds reasonable until civilian life starts charging you for every delay. Deposits, repairs, insurance deductibles, travel for a new job, gaps between paychecks. Things that are annoying when you have cash become expensive when you do not. Here is the example. A veteran has only $1,200 saved. In 1 month, he gets hit with a rental deposit, a car repair, and an uncovered medical bill. Total damage, $4,100. He does not have the cash, so the gap goes on a credit card. Now the emergency is over, but the monthly interest and payments remain. That is how one rough month becomes a long-term drag on the budget. Cash reserves buy you time. They buy you options. They buy you the ability to solve a problem without financing it. The first target does not need to be perfect. Build $2,000 fast, then build 1 month of essential expenses, then work toward 3 months. The reason this matters so much after separation is because civilian life is less buffered. Problems do not wait for your plan to catch up. If you leave active duty without a reserve, then ordinary disruption starts behaving like a crisis. Let's compress the lesson. Mistake 1. Living like the military paycheck never ended. Mistake 2. Buying too much house too fast. Mistake 3. Taking on vehicle debt that your new income cannot comfortably carry. Mistake 4. Ignoring the tax, insurance, and benefits gap between military and civilian compensation. Mistake 5. Waiting too long to build cash reserves. Notice the pattern. These are not random mistakes. They are all failures to rebuild structure. Military life gave you structure whether you appreciated it or not. Civilian money requires you to build that structure yourself. A budget is structure, a housing cap is structure, a transportation rule is structure. A compensation worksheet is structure, an emergency fund is structure. If you rebuild the system early, your transition gets easier. If you delay it, the numbers punish you. Leave this video with 3 rules. Rule 1. Your civilian paycheck is not your military paycheck. Treat it like a new operating environment and build a new plan. Rule 2. Fixed costs will bury you faster than small luxuries. Housing, vehicles, insurance, and debt payments decide whether you can breathe. Rule 3. Cash reserves buy time and options. If you do not have cash, every problem gets more expensive. Those 3 rules are simple, but they are enough to keep you out of most financial trouble after separation. If this helped, subscribe to GI Budget for blunt, practical money guidance for service members and veterans. If you want the free tools and trackers mentioned in this video, find them at GI Budget on Etsy. The link is in the description. We are not here to impress you. We are here to help you keep more of your money, avoid preventable mistakes, and build a civilian financial system with the same discipline you brought to the military. GI Budget, military discipline, civilian money.